Hello and welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to do the 3/4 perspective walk. That's the most difficult one to do because the character kind of grows as they're coming towards the camera. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the trick to making this happen is when you're first learning it, you're going to need a background like this with a horizon line. Now this black line here is the horizon line. It goes all the way out here. And then I have what's called a vanishing point. That is the tip of the perspective. So I have the two lines here where the character is going to walk. The character is going to walk on these two black lines here. And then I have this red and blue line here that goes they go all the way up to the other vanishing point, which is on the horizon line here. And that will determine the length of the strides. And I also added these two pink lines here, which will be the height of the character. So when you're walking, your head goes up and down, or your body goes up and down because your feet are they're further apart, which means that your head is lower during your full strides. So these two pink lines, they also go to the vanishing point this way. So here I have my Michelangelo. He's ready to begin his little walk cycle. So the first thing we do is we pose out the character on the spot with his full stride. So you have to remember that when you're posing him out, I'm just going to lock my background here so that I don't keep clicking on it. There we go. Now I'm going to provide the students from Herzing. I'm going to provide you with this little background that I made so you can use this exact background. So yeah, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pose out the character on the spot here, and you're going to pose out the full stride. So heel to floor and ball the foot. And you can see that this foot here is on the black line as well as on the red line here. And the other leg is on this black line where the blue line is meeting the black line. And of course you need to have reaction force. So the right arm is in the front and the right leg is in the back, and it's the opposite for the other side. So now that I've posed out my character like this, obviously it's pre-made so that I don't waste time posing out my character. Also, you want your character to be at their lowest right here, right? So the character's head is going to be at the lowest point here, and he's going to be at the same height for the other stride right here. So now the right leg is in the front and the left leg's in the back, and vice versa for the arms. Now one thing that you want to do, like we did in the other walk cycle, is you want to play with the shoulders here, right? You don't want to necessarily just do this with your arms, right? So on this arm you can see that it's a little bit more forward, and this one is a little bit further back. And I did the same thing with the details here. I'm kind of like pushing things this way just to show that he is moving. So for example, his shell goes back and then it goes forward this way as he's walking. And I did the same thing with his belt here. So if you look at his belt between my two strides, the belt is moving back and forth this way, as well as changing shapes this way. So depending on what details you have on your character, you want to play with the details a little bit just to show that so for his nunchucks for example here, I'm bringing them this way and I'm pushing them this way on each stride, right? Just so there is some movement and your character is not too stiff, right? The next step is, I'm just going to do this one live so that you don't get confused. going to take those two keys and then work in this area here. So now we just need to, in between these two strides, right? And your character is going to go back to this frame here. So I'm just going to copy that frame over here again. And I'm going to put a start and a stop here so I can work in this area. So I tween it, and now I have my character will be at the height of his so he's going to be in the mid stride here. Hold on. No, this is the one I want. Sorry about that. Yes, so I tweened my two strides here, and I'm going in the middle, hitting a new keyframe. Okay, and now that he's in the half stride, he's going to be at the highest point this way. And this leg is going to be in the passing mark. And of course, I'm going to have to shape the foot depending on what kind of character you have, what kind of footwear they have. This might need some adjusting. Always flip through your keys here. And you might want to bring this leg up a little bit so that it doesn't hit the floor. You can also squash it ever so slightly. Like that. And this foot, I'm going to adjust as well. And I'm going to keep this foot on this black line here. I'm going to give a little bit of drag to this arm. So drag is you basically just point it in the direction that it came from, because his shoulder is kind of like pulling on the arm, and the hand is along for the ride here. And same with this arm. So now I have my full stride, half stride, back to the full stride, and then I'm going to give the same treatment to the other side here. So I'm going to hit my keyframe. He's going to be at the highest point in the half stride. And I just need to fix the legs here. So this foot goes here, and now this leg is going to be in the passing point. I like to use some squash and stretch on the feet here so that it shows that the character has weight. And this foot here is also starting to break. It's important to keep that foot on the line. And this one here, I can squash it a little bit. And I can also squash the legs here to show there's weight. So full stride, half stride, full stride, half stride, and I'm just going to add some drag in the arms. So it's basically the same formula as the side walk cycle, but you have it in 3/4 perspective. And I also like to affect the belt here. That might be hitting his leg, his belt. And some drag here maybe. So here I have my keys. Full stride, half stride, full stride, half stride. And as you can see, he's going up and down here. Down, up, back to the original. So the next step will be to in between this. I'm just going to copy those keys over here. And this time I'm going to add 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And because here you can kind of see how fast your character is going to be walking. So now I'm starting to get a sense of the speed that he'll be walking at. So I can make it a little bit slower by adding frames. So that's not too bad. I can keep adding more frames to get the speed that I want. And that looks pretty good. Wait, sorry about that. Yes, this is how you determine the speed of your walk. So these were my keys here. So those are your keys, and then you just add frames in between. And then if I do that, he's walking way too fast, so I'm going to add more frames. Still walking too fast. I'm adding frames in between. That looks okay. But now I want to see if I can put it on 2s, because right now it's like 1, 2, 1 frame here, 1, 2, and now these frames are together. So I'm going to add one more frame so I can have this character on 2s. So I guess this will be the best speed for his walk. It'll be the easiest way. Okay, so now I just go backwards, and every 2 frames I'm going to hit F6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then I'm going to polish those frames that I just put in. So now I got an idea of what my walk will look like. I just got to make sure that the feet don't kind of like sink into the floor. So I'm going to track each foot. And of course, the same rule applies here for the very next frame here. This foot should be hitting the floor hard, and that's where most people get this wrong. So on this frame here, this foot hits the floor hard. And the character here will be a little bit lower than they used to be because they just hit the floor here on that frame. And then we can just track the feet, make sure that they don't slide. So if we look at this one here, because it was being tweened from here all the way here, and this foot is hitting the floor, this foot is still kind of like going up. So I'm going to just delete that frame and put a new keyframe in there. And I just want that foot to stay on the floor here, like that. And once the feet pass each other, this heel should start to go off, get off the floor, and just the ball of the foot should remain at the end. And this foot here, tracking this foot, you'll see that it will kind of start going up, but then it might hit the floor a little bit. So on this frame here, I might just bring that foot higher up. Just to give it a nicer arc. And now I have to give the same treatment to the other foot. Heel to floor, heel to floor, and then the next one, your foot has to hit the ground. Otherwise, it will look like your character is walking on butter. And then I'm going to delete this keyframe here and just make sure that that foot stays on the floor. So I'm just looking at this toe here in regards to this black line, and I'm going to want to keep that toe on that black line here. And that's it. And when the foot contacts the floor here, the body should be at its lowest point because of the impact. So I'm just going to make this a little bit lower than the other one. And there's Mikey walking. And I forgot to do his shadow here. So we can go back and fix his shadow. That's not a problem. You just want to have the same length of shadow for the 2 strides, and then find the half stride and then just shrink it. And then copy this shape over to the other half stride here. So now the shadow will grow and shrink as the character is walking. Now I'm just going to go back and put it on 2s. And there he is. And if we look at his shell here, it really looks like he's moving his upper body back and forth. So nothing is really pinned there. His belt is moving. His bandana is moving. Right. And so that is that. The next step will be to have your character walk from here off screen. And this is the very best part, the best trick. Here's how you do it. All right, so we have in the node view here, you should have a walk peg for your character. And I usually have the walk peg right under my keys. So you can set a little keyframe here that shows the beginning and end of your walk cycle. And then you can copy your walk cycle. This way. So now my character is walking this whole time. He's not on loop, he's just walking like that. And I'm going to open this up here and go on the walk peg and delete the information on the walk peg. All except for the first keyframe here. Now, this has got to be one of my favorite tricks in Harmony. On the walk peg, you're going to set the rotation on the vanishing point right here. And what that does is the vanishing point is here, and so is the rotation point. But when I go to make him bigger, all I need to do is hold shift and click the corner and make him grow like that, and he's going to grow the exact amount that he needs to. So if he's coming from over here, I'm just gonna do that. So now I'm just holding shift and I'm shrinking him, and he's going to grow and shrink the exact amount that he needs to. And I just love this trick so much. When I was taught that, I was like, it just makes life so much easier. So if I go here and I hold shift and I do that, now he's going to walk off screen. If I just tween that, he's going to walk off screen. And it looks really good already. But the problem is that if I were to put this on twos, his feet will slide. So here he is. Still looks good, but if you look at his feet very carefully, you're going to see that he is sliding. It's like he's on ice a little bit. So here is how you do it. Turn on your onion skin. And I mean, if he's walking like that and you don't, you know, his feet, your character's feet are not in the shot, then that's fine. By all means, just tween it and let it be. But if we have to see the character's feet, you want the scene to look really good, we are going to track. I'm just going to turn off his shadow because it stops me from seeing the contact point. I'm just going to turn this shadow off. So here I click on the walk peg, I hold shift, and then I match his heel to the last frame. And I'm going to do this frame by frame. It might be tedious, but it will look really nice and solid. So now I switch to the other foot and I'm matching the heel to this previous frame here. So now if I go frame by frame, he is not sliding. So this might be tedious, but it doesn't take that long. Like so. And now if I go frame by frame, he looks pretty good. Now, if you're not happy with the walk cycle, you can erase your cycle here and then go back to the original cycle here, the original part, and fix it. So for example, if I'm looking at his foot here, it kind of like sinks into the ground a little bit. If I turn on my onion skin here. So I'm just going to go back and solidify it. And I might keep that leg. I might keep it like that. And then I can just copy my cycle again. Now that I've fixed the little hiccups, I can just copy that and then continue. Just want to make sure I don't have any runaway tweens in here, so I'm just going to tween the whole thing and then untween it. There. And then I can continue like this and just match that last frame. And so on and so forth. Look at that. Gotta love it. So that's it for this course. I will provide you with this background so that you don't have to make it. And you can place your character on it. You can always, adjust the lines if you want to. And yeah, so good luck. And I will see you in the next video.